At my wedding, the DJ accidentally played a voicemail over the speakers, my groom whispering, "Can't wait to get rid of her tonight." I froze. Then my maid of honor gasped and said, "That was for me." My mom grabbed the mic and said, "Wanna tell her what you did in Cabo?" I was standing under the soft string lights at my own damn wedding in Santa Fe, holding a champagne flute I hadn't even taken a sip from yet, when the DJ suddenly froze like he'd been shot. The music cut out. Everyone turned toward the speakers. At first, I thought maybe his equipment shorted out, then I heard it, my groom's voice, not from the mic, from the speakers, loud, clear, smug. "Can't wait to get rid of her tonight." The room went still. Even the people at the bar stopped talking. I felt something inside me drop straight through the floor. For a second I thought maybe it was some old recording or a joke I'd forgotten we made. Something harmless. But then I heard a soft inhale next to me. My maid of honor, Jenna, covered her mouth with both hands and whispered, "Oh my God, that was for me." I swear something inside my chest tore. My knees actually buckled, and if my cousin hadn't grabbed my elbow, I would have gone down right there between the tables. The DJ scrambled to kill the audio, apologizing over and over, his face white. But the damage was done. The entire venue, our friends, our families, my coworkers, my groom's side of the room, everyone stared at me like they weren't sure whether to pretend nothing happened or run for cover. My groom, Evan, darted toward me across the dance floor, shaking his head, palms up, babbling, "Babe, babe, that wasn't, you don't understand, it's not what it sounded like." But I didn't hear anything after "not what it sounded like." Because Jenna was staring straight at him. Not confused, not shocked, guilty. And that hurt worse than hearing his voice on the damn voicemail. Before I could even form a full sentence, my mom walked straight up to the stage and grabbed the mic out of the DJ's hand like she'd been waiting her whole life to do it. She stared Evan down with this expression I'd only ever seen once, when she found out my dad had been cheating years ago. Cold, controlled, lethal. "Evan," she said, voice echoing through the speakers, "do you want to tell my daughter what you did in Cabo?" The entire room gasped. Someone in his family said, "Jesus Christ." His best man muttered, "Oh, hell." I felt everything blur around me, flowers, candles, faces, like my brain was trying to shut down to protect me. Cabo. He told me that bachelor trip was boring, golf and tequila. He'd come home tired, sunburned, but acting normal. He hugged me, kissed my forehead, told me he missed me. So why did my mom know something I didn't? "Mom," I croaked out, but she held up a hand. "Sweetheart, you deserve the truth today. Not tomorrow, not 10 years into a marriage, today." Evan rushed forward, trying to grab the mic, but she stepped back like she'd practiced it. "Don't," she warned him. "Don't make this worse." And there was something in her voice, this edge, that told me she already knew, not guessed. Knew. Everyone waited. Evan wiped his face, looked at me, then at Jenna, then at the floor. He wasn't denying, he wasn't correcting, he wasn't furious at the DJ for playing the voicemail accidentally. He just looked caught. My heart pounded so hard I felt sick. My hands shook. My dress suddenly felt way too tight. "What happened in Cabo?" I whispered. He swallowed, hard, and then right as he opened his mouth to speak, someone from the back of the room shouted, "Tell her about the girl at the resort." The room erupted. And that was the moment I realized this wasn't just one betrayal. It was the beginning of something much, much worse. People always say you can feel it in your gut when something is wrong. I used to roll my eyes at that. I'm logical. Practical, I work in accounting in downtown Santa Fe, and I like things that make sense. Numbers, schedules, plans. I thought relationships worked the same way, steady, predictable, safe. Evan fit into that belief perfectly. I met him 3 years ago at a friend's birthday dinner in Albuquerque. He was charming, but not in a sleazy way, at least that's what I told myself. He listened. He laughed at my jokes. He held doors open and remembered my favorite snacks. He felt like someone who was good on paper and good in real life. That combination is rare, so I clung to it. Jenna, my maid of honor, was my best friend since high school. The ride or die type. Or I thought she was. She and I used to joke that we'd grow old together on rocking chairs even if our future husbands left us for younger girls. We were that close. When I introduced her to Evan, she liked him immediately. A little too immediately, looking back. She said things like, "You finally picked a man who's not a project," or "He's so patient with you." At the time, I thought she was just being supportive. Now I replay every compliment like a clue I missed. But there were no red flags. Not then. No weird vibes. No tension. No subtle looks across rooms that made me uneasy. We all hung out constantly, game nights, weekend trips, brunches. Jenna even helped Evan pick out my engagement ring. She cried when he proposed. I thought I had a small, tight circle. Ironclad. My mom was the only one who ever hesitated. She never came out and said she didn't trust him. But she watched him, really watched him. At the time, I chalked it up to what she'd gone through with my dad, years of pretending everything was fine until it fell apart in a way that shattered her. She wasn't cold to Evan. She was polite. But she never softened around him. I figured she'd warm up eventually. When Evan and I got engaged, everything seemed perfect. He handled most of the wedding planning, shockingly enough. He said he wanted to take the stress off me because I was swamped at work. I thought it was sweet. Thought it meant he was excited. Invested. If there were signs, they were buried so deep I convinced myself they were nothing. Except there was one thing. The night before he left for Cabo, he got this text. I didn't see the name. He flipped his phone face down so fast it actually made a sound on the counter. When I asked who it was, he said, "Work thing." Even though it was 11 p.m., then he changed the subject by kissing me and saying he couldn't wait to marry me. I should have pushed. But I didn't. I trusted him. That's on me. When he came back from Cabo, he was weirdly affectionate. Not guilty affectionate, more like love bombing. He brought me a necklace. He kept saying, "We're so close, baby. Everything is going to be perfect." I thought he meant the wedding. Now I wonder if he meant something else entirely. In the weeks leading up to the ceremony, Jenna started acting nervous around me, but I assumed it was stress from planning. She cried at my dress fitting, saying I looked so innocent. At the time, it made me laugh. Now it makes me sick. I never expected that on the day I thought I was marrying my safe, steady future, everything would explode in front of 120 people. And right now, standing in the aftermath of that voicemail, that gasp from Jenna and my mom's accusation, I could feel the truth closing in, and it wasn't going to be gentle. The seconds after the Cabo comment felt like standing in the middle of a freeway while cars swerved around me. Everyone talking, whispering, staring, but all I heard was my own heartbeat pounding in my ears. I kept waiting for someone, Evan, Jenna, my mom, to say something that would make all of it make sense. Instead, things got messier. Evan's best man, Tyler, pushed through the crowd toward me. He looked panicked, like he wanted to stop a bomb from going off but didn't know which wire to cut. "Look," he muttered quietly, "don't freak out. People are overreacting. It's not that serious." Not that serious. Hearing my groom whisper he wanted to get rid of me wasn't serious. Jenna gasping like she'd been stabbed wasn't serious. My mom grabbing a mic like she'd been sitting on a secret wasn't serious. I stared at him. "What happened in Cabo?" Tyler's eyes darted to Evan, to Jenna, then back at me. "That's not my place." Which was basically admitting something did happen. Evan tried to reach for me again, but I stepped back. I didn't trust myself not to slap him. I wasn't a violent person, but something about seeing his face, flushed, twitchy, guilty, made me feel animal-level rage. "Let's go somewhere private," he whispered. "We don't need to do this in front of everyone." But that was the point. Whatever he did wasn't private anymore, and he seemed way too desperate to change the setting. Before I could respond, Jenna stepped closer. She looked pale, the kind of pale that made veins show under her skin. She wouldn't look at me, she just kept staring at the floor. "Jenna," I said, "what was that voicemail? Why did you say it was for you?" Her mouth opened, then closed. Her eyes glistened like she was about to cry, or like she'd been crying for a long time before this moment. She shook her head slightly. "I'm so sorry," she whispered. That was worse than a confession. Because "I'm sorry" meant there was something to confess. I felt dizzy, lightheaded, like my body wanted to shut down to escape the humiliation of standing there in my wedding dress while my life fell apart. My mom stepped closer then, putting a hand on my shoulder. Not comforting, protective. "She deserves to hear the truth," my mom said to Jenna and Evan both. "All of it." A few guests had their phones out recording. Others were whispering, trying to piece together the story like it was a reality TV episode happening live. Someone from Evan's family muttered, "Just tell her," under their breath. And then, like fate wanted to make things even worse, the DJ approached with his laptop trembling in his hands. I don't know how that voicemail got into the playlist," he stammered. It was labeled as an audio file from the groom's folder. I thought it was part of the speeches. The groom's folder. Evan had uploaded it himself. He cursed under his breath and snapped, "Why the hell would I put it there? That makes no sense." Except it made perfect sense. If the voicemail was meant for Jenna, maybe he thought he deleted it. Maybe he saved it accidentally. Or maybe, and this thought hit me like ice, maybe he used that same folder to store things he thought I'd never see. The DJ swallowed. There were other files in there too, stuff I didn't open. I swear I didn't open anything. Other files, plural. The room got even quieter. Jenna finally looked at me then, really looked at me. And it was the look of someone whose worst secret had just been dragged into the sun. "Please," she whispered, "don't make them play anything else." I felt the bottom drop out again. My hands went cold, my stomach twisted. Something was very, very wrong. And for the first time since the whole nightmare started, I realized whatever happened in Cabo wasn't the whole story. It was just the beginning of something deeper and darker. I didn't think anything could hurt more than hearing my groom say he wanted to get rid of me. But watching Jenna, my best friend, my almost sister, beg the DJ not to play anything else that hit a different part of me. A deeper part, the part that trusted her blindly. My mom kept her hand on my shoulder, steadying me. "Sweetheart," she said quietly, "do you want me to handle this?" I shook my head. "No. I need to hear it." Evan ran a hand through his hair. He looked frantic, pacing, muttering curses under his breath as if he was the victim here. "This is all blown way out of proportion," he said. "Everyone needs to calm down." Calm. He wanted calm. I was shaking so hard the beads on my dress rattled. "Just tell me," I said to him, my voice cracking. "What happened in Cabo?" Jenna whispered. "Please don't." Evan glared at her. "Don't start," he snapped. "You caused enough already." My jaw clenched. "Enough what?" Jenna's eyes filled again. "I was drunk, we both were. We messed up, but it wasn't supposed to." "Stop talking," Evan barked. And there it was. The truth hit me like a punch. "You two slept together," I said. My voice didn't even sound like mine, just flat, dead. "In Cabo," Jenna sobbed. Evan put his face in his hands. People gasped. Someone whispered, "Wow." Someone else whispered, "Trash." But it didn't stop there, because my mom wasn't done. "Tell her the rest," she said. Evan's head snapped up. "What rest? There is no rest." My mom cut him off, voice hard as steel. "I know about the pregnancy, Evan." The room exploded. Jenna fully broke down then, crying so loudly the noise bounced off the venue walls. Evan went white. Not pale white, like all the blood drained out of him at once. My legs almost gave out. "Pregnancy? What pregnancy?" Jenna covered her mouth. Evan shook his head violently. "She doesn't need to know that. This has nothing to do with the wedding." Nothing. Nothing to do with the wedding. He said it like it was a parking ticket, like it was some tiny inconvenience instead of the nuclear bomb that had just detonated in my life. I stepped toward Jenna because I needed to hear the words from her. "Were you pregnant?" She nodded barely. "How long?" I whispered. 8 weeks, she said. It was a mistake. I terminated it. Evan said it couldn't ever get out because he didn't want to ruin your future. I thought it was over. I thought we could just move on. Move on. Move on from sleeping with my fiancé. Move on from carrying his child. Move on from lying to my face during cake tastings and dress fittings and you're my best friend brunches. Something inside me cracked open so wide it felt physical. Evan stepped forward. "Look, it was one night. One. We were drunk, things got out of hand. It doesn't change anything between us. I love you, this doesn't have to end everything." I stared at him, stunned that he could say that out loud in front of everyone. The entitlement, the shamelessness, the expectation that I'd swallow betrayal like it was a minor inconvenience. And then, because life apparently wanted to keep gutting me, the DJ suddenly spoke up again, voice small and terrified. "There's something else." The voicemail that played, it wasn't the full message. The beginning got cut off. Evan spun on him. "Don't you dare," but the DJ was already hitting a button. The speakers crackled. And then Evan's voice filled the room again, this time sounding colder. Clearer. "Intentional. Jenna, listen, once she signs everything tonight, we're set. I can drop her clean and you and I can finally be done with this secret. Can't wait to get rid of her tonight." The room went silent. Completely. No whispers. No gasps, just pure, stunned horror. And that was when I understood this wasn't an affair. This was a setup. a plan, and I wasn't meant to make it out of this marriage intact. The moment that full voicemail ended, once she signs everything tonight, we're set, I felt something inside me harden. Like a door slammed shut. Whatever version of me still loved Evan, or trusted Jenna, or believed this was some horrible drunken screw-up, she died right there on the wedding floor. The room buzzed with whispers, but it all sounded far away. My heartbeat was the loudest thing in my head. Evan stepped toward me, palms up, voice shaking but still trying to sound calm. "Baby, listen, you're taking that out of context." Someone actually laughed. Not a funny laugh, a disgusted, "Are you insane?" laugh. I didn't say a word, I just stared at him. Because for the first time, something new stood out to me, fear. Not guilt, not shame. Fear. He knew something was about to unravel. Jenna was trembling so badly she could barely stay standing. She kept whispering, I'm sorry," like it was some kind of prayer. I didn't look at her. Couldn't. Every time she opened her mouth, it made me want to scream. My mom squeezed my arm gently. Her voice was low. "You need to leave this room, we'll handle the rest." But I shook my head. No, not yet. Because something wasn't adding up. A few drunk hookups don't lead to voicemails about signing everything and getting rid of her. This wasn't infidelity. It was strategy, money, assets, insurance, something. And if I walked away now, I'd walk away blind. I wiped my cheeks. Somewhere along the way, I'd started crying and forced myself to speak clearly. "DJ," I said, my voice steadier than I expected, "open his folder." Evan lunged. "Stop." Tyler grabbed him by the suit jacket and yanked him back. "Dude, just stop fighting it. It's done." The DJ's hands trembled as he scrolled through the files. He turned his laptop so only I could see first, maybe out of mercy. My stomach twisted. There were audio files, screenshots, scans of documents, notes, even photos. All neatly organized in a folder, named something so basic it was almost laughable. Plan. Jenna made this choked sound and collapsed onto a chair. Evan looked like he was going to be sick. "Sweetheart," my mom whispered, "you don't have to look right now." "I do," I said, because if they planned something, I needed to know how deep this went. The DJ clicked on one of the screenshots. A prenup draft, not the one Evan and I discussed, not the one my lawyer reviewed. This one stripped me of almost everything, my condo, my savings, even half my retirement account. And at the bottom, final version to replace original, she signs at reception. Tears burned my eyes again, but I blinked them back. I clicked through the next files myself now, messages between Evan and Jenna. Jenna. "Once she signs the papers, you're free. We just need one night of patience." Evan, "I can't wait to end it. She's so naive." Jenna, "You'll get everything. I'll handle her if she gets suspicious." I felt like I might throw up. This wasn't cheating. This was an ambush. A financial, emotional, personal ambush. And I almost walked into it willingly. My hands stopped shaking. A cold calm settled over me, sharp and focused. The kind of calm people get right before they do something irreversible. I turned to my mom. "I want everyone out except family. Mine, not his." She nodded once and motioned to my cousins and uncles, who started moving like security staff, ushering out gawkers and whispering a very clear "get out." Evan panicked. Wait, babe, let's talk." "No," I said. "You're going to listen." And for the first time he did, because he could finally see it. I wasn't heartbroken anymore. I was preparing. And whatever I planned next, it was going to destroy him. Once the guests were pushed out and the doors closed, the room felt heavier. Quieter. Like the air itself knew something uglier still hadn't surfaced. My mom stayed beside me. My aunt stood by the entrance like a bouncer. My cousins formed this loose wall between Evan and the rest of us. Jenna sat alone at a table, shaking, mascara streaked down her cheeks. She looked like a kid caught stealing, but I couldn't feel 1 ounce of pity. Not anymore. Evan tried to break the silence first. "Look, I know how this looks, but you don't understand the whole situation." I actually laughed, short, sharp, humorless. "Then explain it. Because right now it looks like you and my best friend plan to screw me over financially and emotionally and what? Run off together." Evan's eyes flicked to Jenna, then away. That reaction, tiny but telling, set something off in my brain. He wasn't planning to run off with her. He was planning to run off without me, and possibly without her too. Before I could ask, my mom stepped in. "Tell her why you needed her signature tonight. Tell her what you told your sister on the phone last week." Evan froze. My stomach knotted. "What phone call?" My mom looked at me gently. I didn't say anything because I didn't have proof yet, but now we do. I turned to Evan. Say it, he swallowed hard. His voice dropped to a whisper. This is getting blown out of proportion. Say it. He stared at the floor, his jaw clenched, his fingers curled into fists. It's about the debt, he muttered. My heart skipped. What debt? He didn't answer, so my mom did. Evan owes nearly $200,000, she said, and he's been trying to find a way to pay it off without declaring bankruptcy. His sister told me he's desperate, cornered, and stupid. The room spun slightly. I grabbed the back of a chair. $200,000. Evan looked up, eyes wide like he just realized how exposed he was. It's not that simple. It's not all mine. Then whose is it? I asked. And that was when the second twist hit harder than the first. Jenna lifted her face. Her voice came out hoarse, weak. It's mine. Everything fell silent. You, I said slowly. You owe $200,000. Tears streamed down her face. She nodded. It started small. Medical bills, then credit cards, then gambling. I didn't mean to. It got out of control. I stared at her like I didn't even know who she was. Maybe I didn't. Evan let out a long, bitter exhale. She dragged me into it. She begged me for help. I co-signed a loan because she said she'd kill herself if I didn't. Jenna sobbed harder. I never meant for it to get like this. And when we slept together, it wasn't about love. I was terrified. I thought if he married you, you'd both be stable. He promised he'd help me pay it off once you signed the prenup. He said you'd be fine because you make more than him. It felt like my internal organs were being scraped raw. So, I said slowly, piecing it together, the prenup wasn't to protect him from me. Evan looked away. It was to drain my accounts, I said. Jenna sobbed. Evan didn't deny it. And the voicemail? I asked. Getting rid of me, Evan rubbed his eyes. I didn't mean physically, I meant the marriage. Once she signed, I could end things and Jenna, and I could finally deal with the debt situation without dragging you into it. My skin went cold. This wasn't about love, or lust, or even betrayal between friends. This was a financial extraction. I wasn't a fiancé. I was a lifeline, a target, a solution. But there was one thing they didn't know yet, one detail they hadn't realized. My voice was ice when I finally spoke. Evan, I said, that prenup you planned to slip in tonight, the one you thought I hadn't seen. He looked at me, confused. You should have checked the files more carefully, I said, because I already know who swapped it. His face drained. And Jenna whispered, you weren't supposed to find out. But it was too late. I knew. And now I had exactly what I needed to take them both down. There's a special kind of quiet that happens when you finally understand the truth. Not the version people feed you, not the excuses, but the raw, ugly core they never meant for you to see. That's the quiet that settled over me. Evan stood there blinking fast, like he was trying to think of a new lie but couldn't land on one fast enough. Jenna kept whispering, I'm sorry, over and over, but her apologies were background noise now. I was focused on one thing. Why? Why plan a wedding with me for a year? Why pretend to love me? Why sleep next to me every night? Why build a whole life with me just to steal from me? Tell me the real reason, I said. Not the debt, not the we made a mistake crap, the real reason you did all of this. Evan exhaled sharply, frustrated. It's not one thing. Stop lying, I snapped. Jenna flinched. Evan shut his eyes, then opened them. And what I saw there wasn't guilt. It was calculation, cold, familiar, like he'd been hiding it for years. Fine, he said. You want the truth, here it is. He straightened himself, wiped his face, and something in his expression changed completely. The panic slipped away, the desperation disappeared, and what was left was a version of him I had never seen before. Sharp, flat, cruel. When I met you, he said, voice low and even, I knew you'd go far, you're stable, you're disciplined, you save, you work hard. You're the kind of woman who builds a future. My stomach twisted. You think that's a compliment? I asked. It's a fact, he said. You're reliable, predictable, practical, and I needed someone like that. Needed, not loved, needed. You had everything I didn't, he continued. Good credit, a decent income, savings, a condo, a retirement plan. I watched how you handled money, how careful you were. You weren't reckless like Jenna. You weren't emotional. Jenna sobbed softly. I didn't chase you because I was in love, he said. I chased you because you were safe, a long-term investment. My whole body went cold. You weren't supposed to find out about Cabo, he went on, or the pregnancy, or the plan. And yeah, the plan wasn't to be with Jenna forever. She's a mess. She needed help, and she dragged me into her disaster. I figured if we could get the prenup signed, I'd have access to what I needed. We'd pay off the debt. Then when things settled, I'd leave you clean. No drama, no court battles, you'd move on, you always do. I stared at him. He looked calm. Calmer than he had all night, because this confession was the real him. I wasn't trying to destroy you, he added, as if that made any difference. I just needed a foundation to stand on, someone dependable, someone who wouldn't question things, someone who didn't know how easily she could be replaced. Jenna looked up then, eyes swollen. He told me you'd never fight back, she whispered. He said you avoid confrontation. He said you'd sign anything if it kept the peace. My throat tightened, because that was true. It was the part of me I hated most, the part they counted on. And the voicemail, I managed. Wanting to get rid of me tonight? Evan didn't even blink. I meant I couldn't wait to be done with the performance, the speeches, the pretending. The wedding was a transaction, and after you signed, the transaction was complete. A transaction. Not a marriage, not a partnership, not a love story. A deal. A deal where my role was to give and his job was to take. No sympathy, no regret, no humanity, just strategy. And finally, I understood exactly what kind of man he was, and why my revenge needed to ruin him completely. People talk about snapping like it's loud, explosive, chaotic. For me, it was quiet. Evan stood there justifying turning my life into a financial stepping stone. Jenna sat shaking, not because she regretted what she did, but because she finally realized she wasn't getting what she was promised. And in that cold, steady silence inside me, everything became clear. I wasn't walking away broken. I was walking away prepared. I took a breath, straightened my dress, and said, calm as stone, "DJ, hand me the mic." He did. Everyone froze when I stepped onto the small stage. My dress was wrinkled, my mascara was wrecked, my bouquet was long gone, but my voice was steady. "Everyone," I said, "before you leave, I want to make something very, very clear." Evan moved toward me, panic rising. "Baby, don't call me that again," I said, "and I'll make sure your mother hears everything in that folder." He shut up. I lifted the mic. "This wedding is over," I announced, gasps. A few cheers, honestly, but I want everyone to know exactly why. I pointed at the projector screen behind me. My cousin connected the DJ's laptop, and I showed everything. The prenup swap, the messages, the pregnancy, the voicemail, the debt, every single file. People murmured, disgusted. His relatives walked out, shaking their heads. Two of Jenna's cousins actually confronted her, demanding to know if it was true. She broke down crying, but no one moved to comfort her. When it was done, I looked right at Evan. "You said I avoid confrontation," I said, "so let me confront you now." I took a step closer. He backed up. "This morning," I said, "I got an email from my lawyer confirming the final prenup draft was filed incorrectly. Meaning the only version legally recognized is the original one. The one that protects me completely." Confusion flickered across his face. Then dawning horror. I continued. "And because you cheated before the marriage and tried to coerce me into signing a fraudulent agreement, your lawyer will be hearing from mine first thing Monday morning. They're already preparing paperwork." He swallowed. Hard. "You wanted access to my accounts," I said. "Now you're getting audited instead," people whispered. "And since Jenna's debt is tied to your name now, your signature, your loan, her mess is your mess." Jenna sobbed. Evan's face collapsed. My voice stayed cold. "You plan to use me as financial life support, but now you can deal with the consequences together." My mom stepped beside me, proud, steady, unmoving. I wasn't done. "I already called the venue manager before this," I said. "Everything under my name is paid for. Everything under your name." I tilted my head. "Good luck explaining bounced payments and canceled cards." Evan's eyes widened. You canceled." "Hours ago," I said. "I knew something was off when you tried to get me to sign a paper for the venue this morning. I forwarded it to my lawyer before you even woke up from your nap." The second the words left my mouth, Jenna looked like she realized just how deeply she miscalculated. I set the mic down, turned to my mom. "Let's go." We walked out together. My family followed. I didn't look back, not once. Outside, under the New Mexico sunset, the air felt clearer. My hands were finally steady. My heart wasn't racing anymore. I wasn't the girl who avoided confrontation. I wasn't the one who kept the peace. Not anymore. I climbed into my cousin's car, closed the door, exhaled, and said, "Well, at least I didn't waste the honeymoon tickets." Because the next morning I flew to Maui with my mom, my aunt, and 2 cousins. And Evan. He got served on Monday. Closure never felt so clean.